Yo, what up? It's Brendan.
I'm Brandon.
And this is
the Brews and Bros podcast. Can you pass me the mic?
Passing the mic. Gosh. All right, for real this time? There it is. All right, B.
You watching the video right now?
Huh?
You watching the video right now?
I went like this.
Oh.
What do you say? We conduct a series of tests to determine the extent of his sophistication.
Dude,
He's blowing the frisbee.
dude, there's like 2 or 3 things in this world that I swear to Christ never get old, and Donnie Thornberry is one of them.
He went. Skip it on the beach. Step it on the beach.
Oh man,
Step it on the beach. Now how'd that go?
something like that, yeah. But
I had to grab my drink.
you gotta grab your drink.
I put it over here.
You're not prepared.
I put it there so I didn't put it on your carpet. And I got the Thor socks on today, bro.
The Thor socks? I was wondering what those were, because I was like, I see like a flesh tone, and I was like, why are his socks like not on his feet?
What's Thor's last name?
Hammer.
Odinson.
You're so dumb. Oh my god. Thor Odin's.
See that? Yeah, that's a realization right there. This one too. Somebody asked me of 2 different things that hold water, and so I said, "Oh, well, damn."
Dog, who are you? Who are you, dude?
I'm practicing to be a daddy. What was that? What was that? You got a headache?
Nope, just contemplating life. Your dumb jokes. With that being said, welcome back to the Brews and Bros podcast. I'm Brandon.
I'm Brendan. Dude,
It happens every time. It literally happens every time. I have to like really think about what my name is. Even to this day. Like I'm like, I'm like, my name is, and I'm like, Brendan.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, it's Brandon.
That's what happened, because I was like, I'm Brendan.
Because that's what happened. So last night I was telling my dad about something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I was talking to Brandon, and I said, Brendan, I'm Brandon.
We're doing it to each other. Those people at the concert didn't have to worry.
Honestly, I think that's really what messed me up. Ever since then, it's been so hard.
What messes me up is I hardly use my name like that.
That's
I meet
fair.
people and I'm blah blah blah. Oh, Brendan. Okay, cool. What's up? But with you, it's just like B.
Yeah, and like now that I think about it, the only people who call me by my actual name are like coworkers, like 2 friends. One of them was not you, and my parents.
Yeah, especially in the military, because you're always called Parody.
Yep,
Parody.
always my
Parody.
last name, and even like I still like there's some buddies that I'll call by their first name, but for the most part, I'll just call everybody by their last name.
Even when I'm playing with you in Rubio, I will try to address you as Parody. So just because I'm like, I think that's what he's more comfortable with.
Honestly, it's not. I guess it's not for me. It's not like a matter of comfortability necessarily. It's just like that's like a long 4 years of not being called your first name.
It's weird because sometimes people just call you what they know you by. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I met him as just knowing him as Rubio, so that's just what I call him. You know, even though it's his last name, and by me meeting him, I would be like, "Oh, this is your name. I'll call you by your first name."
Yeah.
But even still, in high school, oh boy, Tomek. I don't know where that. We just Tomek.
Yeah, I don't know why he's like that.
It just happened.
But
There were some people. Maybe he did sports. I don't know.
I don't know. I know that Munson is that way.
Same
Because when
thing.
he was telling us, he had told us that when he was in elementary school, that there was like 6 Joshes in his class.
So he just went by
and so
Munson.
everybody they just all went by their last name. And it just kind of stuck with him.
Well, I know in PE they had to address us by our last names.
I don't know.
Coach Liz was always like, blah, blah, blah. But with my last name, he just said Brendan. I was like, or hey.
Hey, you.
I wasn't cool enough to get in trouble all the time, so I was off his radar. So it was like, hey.
Yeah, that's true. I remember the one time. So remember Coach Christensen, how he had that rule that if he heard you swear, you'd have to do 20 push-ups. Mm-hmm. So I think I was like a junior at this point. So I had known him for a couple of years. We're getting ready to leave. I was talking to somebody. I don't remember exactly what I said. It was something along of the lines. I was like, "Well, fuck you then," or something like that. And he goes, "Brandon, come on, man." He goes, "You're on your way out, and you do that to me?" He's like, "You know what to do." And I was like, "Sure thing, Coach."
I remember Coach Christensen would like. There's a couple stories about him. He was a cool guy. But I remember when he would go like to the parent-teacher conferences with that little fake arm, and he'd have it up his hoodie, and he'd go shake their hands, and they'd rip it off, and he'd go, ah! And they'd be like, ah! I also remember me and this kid were talking about the new Call of Duty, right? Mm-hmm. And we're looking up at the sky, and we see the planes going by because we have all different military bases out here. Mm-hmm. And so the dude was like, I wonder what kind of plane that is, you know? And we're talking, and Coach come up, and he goes, I'll tell you exactly what kind of plane that is. That is an aeroplane.
He was such a goof, dude. And I think that's why, like...
I'm not good at math, so I teach gym.
Yeah, he's like, well, I'm not a very good teacher, so that's why I'm in the gym, because I like sports.
But don't you have to teach health? Well, yeah, but...
That doesn't really count. That's not a class.
That's what he said. He's like, yeah, it is what it is. You know how to eat food? Yeah, and you know health.
And, but yeah, I think that's one of the things that, like, for me, like, that's why he sticks out so much, like, as a teacher, was because he was just, like, a goofball. He was probably like, dude, I have literally the easiest job in the world.
And he was fair.
And he was super nice. Everyone, I really liked him.
Like, if you got in trouble with him, you legitimately did something. For the most part, the kids who got in trouble with him, they understood why they were getting in trouble. They were like, yeah, you're right, I did something.
Well, okay, you got me there.
Because he's the one who'd be like you said, like, why you gotta do this to me?
He's like, look, I'm literally not mad, but I am very disappointed.
Not even that, he's like, listen, boys, there's right, there's wrong, but then there's the rules, and right here.
He said, look, I don't like doing this kind of thing, so why are you putting me in this position? He's like a mob boss. He's like, what are you doing? I told you what to do, and I told you what not to do. And you did what I told you not to do.
He said, you're busting my balls, Brandon.
He said, I don't understand. How is it that you're coming in here telling me that you don't have your gym uniform?
Oh my God.
All you gotta do is change into the clothes and you pass. That's all. I don't even care if you don't play the sport.
Here's the best part. You don't even have to run around the gym. You just walk it, bro.
You can literally just stand there in your assigned spot.
Do the stretch.
And that's it. That's all you gotta do. As long as you show up in the uniform.
He said, I don't care if you're not playing the basketball games we're putting out there. At least just dribble the ball, maybe.
At least pretend dribble. Like you want the ball.
At least put your hand up one time and look like you put in effort. But yeah, that was it. You said to wear the uniform. And if you couldn't afford one, they were like, okay, well, here's one.
They're like, okay, there's some extras in the pack.
You might want to wash them, but I think... Yeah, because for the most part, the PE classes were cool. I had one PE teacher, I don't remember his name.
What do you look like?
Shorter guy, white. I think he was one of the coaches for the football team. Because he wasn't like a gym teacher. Like he was, but he wasn't.
Like he was like a sub, right?
He was, but he subbed out the rest of the year because whoever was supposed to was... No. He was, but then Coach Rathers had to sub for him for a little bit. If you had the yearbook, I'd show you.
I actually do. It's right up there underneath all of those things. Right there on the top shelf.
So I gotta be responsible for knocking this shit over.
Yeah, right there, right in front of your face.
Jesus fucking.
That red book right above the Special Forces one. But no, and like...
Talk to him.
Are you talking about Coach Hugel? That's the one. He was like super tan, kind of blonde, looked like he was probably from California.
Looked like he could coach the Denver Broncos.
But not actually be a good coach. Like, he looks like... He looked like an imposter.
Thank God. I was like, I don't want to have to dig through all this shit. No, but yeah. So, he was really fair, right? He was fair.
Yeah.
But he was a little more strict than most. But it was fun. Because we were playing softball. And me, playing, with the senior class... I'm not that good at those games, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm still trying. I hit the ball. I get to second base. I don't have the time of my life, right? But I make the mistake. I'm talking to whoever's on second, and I start looking around, and I turn around because I hear a car, and I'm like, okay, you know what? That's a little weird. That car a little too loud. And as I'm turning around, one of the varsity team, baseball team players, hits the softball, and you're thinking, oh, it's gonna go all the way over there. Nope, went right into my nuts.
Golly, dude.
And I fell over. I grabbed him. I rolled on my back. And he come up to me and he goes, did it hurt? And I was like, and he's like, all right, well, I'm going to need you to get up.
Well, you're crowding the base.
Yeah,
you're out.
pretty much. And I was like,
you said, but coach, I can't breathe.
I said, coach.
I don't think you understand. It hurts right in my stomach. Help me.
He said, if you stand up and take a few steps, you'll feel a little better. I was like, it would have been one thing like a little baseball, but it was tink. And then there was a time we were playing kickball, and I was just having a bad day. And I think I've told this before, but I don't know if I told it on the podcast. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to get in trouble.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. You were playing dodgeball, right?
It was kickball.
Oh, was it kickball?
Yeah, because I'm standing at the base. And I fell over, and I said, I'm going to trip this girl next time. And she running. And as she's running past my base, I put my foot out and go, ah! And she go, and it was like slow motion, and she fell down face first. She looked at me, and I said, oops. And coach was like, it happens. It happens. Keep going. Keep going. He didn't have it. Keep going. You're still in.
Oh, man. So, I think I was in the 8th grade at the time, but we were playing floor hockey. And so, I had gym later in the day.
Right.
But I was sitting in math class that morning. And this girl comes in, and she's got this big old welt on her forehead. So, middle schoolers are kind of mean.
Welt.
And so, they're like laughing. They're like, oh my God, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, we were playing floor hockey in gym, and I got domed right in the, it just, beamed me right in the forehead. So I was like, that's kind of weird. Never happens to anybody. Like, that's just like pure bad luck. Fast forward 2 days. We're playing floor hockey. It's the last day. I'm enjoying it. I was like, yo, this is kind of fun. Floor hockey! I'm having a good time. I was like, 13, so, getting all them pent-up hormones and all of that stuff, dealt with by playing a little competitive game of floor hockey in gym class.
Fight! No.
So, I don't remember exactly what happened, but the puck goes up. I, look, and I see the puck, and I was on my way to going over there, and the kid, wham, smacks the puck. I shit you not, I watched the puck come right at me, and I went, boom, and it hits me, and I said, shit, and I, rubbed my forehead, and then I just kept running, because it didn't, faze me at all.
He said,
Dude, that's really what I was like, let's go.
He said, I'm a man. He went, I am become death. You started bleeding down your face.
That would be wild.
In 8th grade, you're just bleeding down the forehead. Yeah! And you just go, I am vengeance.
You probably get kicked out of the school.
Rip your gym shirt off. Parody?
They're like, yo, you need to calm down.
Parody, go to the office right now.
You just scream, he's just growling the whole time.
Like Cornholio, but you're walking to the office.
The security guards are like, yo, what the hell?
Does he need next door?
You get like, you like develop like superhuman powers. And you're like, you have like the world's best hearing. And you're like,
Some girl opens the bathroom door and you just look at her. And she goes, sitting in the little lobby waiting for the principal and your parents come in. Are you okay?
They like put you in a straitjacket and they're like, well, as you can see, you know, something happened to him in gym class today, and you're just like, you're just like growling at people like a dog.
Is he gonna be okay? I don't know.
You just take a nap and you wake up. You're like a werewolf. You're like, oh, guys, what happened? And they're like, yo, like, what happened?
You don't remember, and then let's say you get to high school the next year, and then like we're playing floor hockey, and then something triggers in your subconscious. You go,
You just see someone get hit with the puck, and you're all of a sudden just like, floor hockey.
Mad dog.
You're just going wild.
We won't go, Wolf. We won't go wild.
They're like,
Murray.
they're like, dude, it's floor hockey. Calm down.
Floor hockey is life. Bleh. No, see, that's crazy.
What's crazy?
Just getting domed in the head by a bug.
Yeah, dude, it's just one of those
Not
things
being
like
phased.
or like, it sounds kind of fucked up, but at the same time, I don't think it is, because I think it's one of those things that everyone kind of finds funny. Especially, I'll use the preface of Chanel West Coast when they were on
Ridiculousness?
no, the show right before it. I can't remember.
Fantasy Factory.
Fantasy Factory. Okay, that's the one where they're playing dodgeball,
And she gets
and she gets that ball just rockets her right in the face. And he says, all right, well, we're done. We'll switch teams. Then he kicks the ball and he domes her again.
And she's like, ah.
That was some of the funniest shit to see in high school, when you'd have like the varsity quarterback of the football team just line drive this girl and just wham, and she just like just flips head over heels, and you're just like, oh my god.
That's our varsity.
She said, that's our boy.
I'm moving up to Coronado. This is my city.
The fact that you remember that,
I remember that much.
is kind of baffling.
I remember that much.
One of my vaguest memories of high school, not because I don't remember the whole assembly, but I remember assemblies in general got dumber and dumber every year that we were there.
No, they did.
Because our freshman year, those assemblies were wild.
It was a different time, bro.
Literally to the point where they blended a Happy Meal together, and they made those kids drink it.
Bro, it was a different time. They're still new to the idea of a black man was in the White House.
It was just, dude.
They was learning how
That
the
shit
world
was
worked.
crazy.
I remember everything. Do you remember the beatbox contest?
No? What? Wait. Maybe once you start telling it, I'll kind of remember it.
They were like, we're having a beatboxing contest. Who's gonna win? And then me going,
Oh yeah, because you're really bad with like cringe type stuff.
so I had a terrible time at all of those.
Dude, so speaking of cringe, I assume that you've seen the video of Joe Biden playing Despacito.
I refuse to watch it.
Oh my dude, I
refuse to watch it because I don't do good with it.
Like I said, obviously you don't do very well with cringe, right? So when I was playing Red Dead with Rubio earlier, he was talking about it, and I was like, bro, oh my god. I was like, I couldn't stop cringing the whole time, because the guy announces it, and he's like, I just want to welcome everybody out here, and, I want to, blah, 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 introduce to you, the man who's running for president and the man who will be the next president of the United States, Joe Biden. But they're only showing the podium.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't see anybody behind the camera. But then, like, 2 dudes are clapping. Like, just that's it. Like, you can tell that there's only, like, 8 people in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who's, like, on the camera is also clapping. So, like, his claps take over the sound of the whole thing. But, like, you can hear, like, maybe 2 other people clapping. So the video I watched is 50 seconds long. That whole introduction took 6 seconds. Joe Biden doesn't come out till about 40 seconds into the video.
Right.
So I was like, what the I was like, why? I was like, yo, And then he gets out, and the first thing he says is, I only gotta say one thing. And then he plays Despacito, and he's like, dude, oh my god. The whole time, I was like, oh no. Like, there's people out here who look at that guy, and they're like, that's the real deal.
That's the one.
That's the run.
Deal, holy field.
Like, dude, oh my god. It was just so bad, because Rubio was telling me, he was like, well, Despacito means slow. So he's like, so I'm thinking that was a joke, and I was like, there's no way he knew that. Like, even if he had Hispanic people on his team, and they're like, hey, Joe, we got this idea for you, blah, 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 and they explained it to him, like, no, you're gonna walk out there, play that song, and they're gonna be laughing their asses off in the back. Like, there's no way, you can't take that seriously.
No, I wouldn't. I
refuse to believe.
I refuse to watch things that I know will make me cringe unless it's like a TikTok compilation that I was sent by like you or someone.
Even then, there's been a couple of them where you won't watch the whole thing because you'll be like,
that's what I mean.
That first one did me in.
I'll see how far I can get, but I have a very like low tolerance of cringy things.
Oh man!
And so that's why all those assemblies I always had a hard time, and it's funny which ones stand out to me. Because I remember it was sophomore year because I know where we were sitting, and you were right here, and I think Bryce was right here, and we were just, I was talking to you guys, and they're doing the anthem and everything, right? And I was like, well, we were just sitting down, we're like, it's fine, we're just going to sit, do our thing. And I just remember the cheerleader kicking her legs up, and she stops. She looks me dead in the eye, and she goes, stand up. I don't know. I just remember it was one of the cheerleaders.
What they looked like?
A cheerleader, bro. They all looked the same, ugly. So, well, some of them, not
some of them, not all of them.
But the ones who weren't ugly, no offense to all you uggos, they were the ones who were on the opposite side of the room for the juniors and the seniors. The ones we didn't get to really experience too much, right? Now, again, there were some cuter ones that were, in the age brackets and everything, but we'll have to see if that holds up because, again, I don't know, but I remember who this was. That's the problem is that was my only ever interaction with this girl.
Yeah,
and that's why I was really mad. I was like, so I looked at her, I said, "No, I'm good," and she went, "Stand up," shaking her little pom poms, and I was like, "No, I'm sitting down," and she just went with little pom poms in her chest, and she was like, looked so disgusted and kept going back to her routine. And I was like, is that your job? Do you get like a credit?
Yeah, who is this?
Do you get an athletic credit for like bullying some kid into standing up?
Speaking of which, remember that time that I got bullied because they thought I was bullying all the kids in student council?
Yeah!
Because I was like, yo, this shit trash, dog.
And what's worse is a lot of that sparked from my fucking Facebook status because I made that status about, hey, what they did today was fucked up.
And the whole Katie King thing, right? Yeah.
And then you went, yeah, that is fucked up. And then all of a sudden,
well, yeah, because I had made the joke because there was something about the kid who was student council president at the time.
He's a lot cooler now.
There was just something about him just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and just like that whole group of people.
Yeah.
And so I had made the joke on Facebook that I was like, oh yeah, like we impeach student government.
Yeah, that's right.
And they were like, And I said, but I don't understand. Like, I feel like as per my rights as a U.S. citizen, like I have the rights to express my like unwavering thoughts about the people who are in charge of me. And so, for me, like, it all was, like, literally, like, it was just a complete joke. And if, I couldn't find the status now if I tried, just because it was so long ago.
Right.
I would be scrolling for hours. But if you go back and we were to read the comments, especially with the ones that I was writing at first, like, dude, you could tell it was a joke. I was like, yo, we should have chicken nuggets every Thursday during Cougar Connection. Like, we should have ski ball tournaments during assemblies. Like, just all of this and the other stuff. And then it wasn't till they were like, well, we didn't see you running for student council. Like, all you doing is just talking shit. And I said, how'd you find that so fast?
I just typed in impeach student council.
Oh, man.
In the search bar. And then I found one from a few years after that where you called everybody boots for still hating.
Oh, dude! I forgot about that.
But I pulled up the original one, so I said, hey, maybe this will be...
Oh, man.
They got so pressed. It's like, bro,
dude,
it's high school.
They got big mad.
High school was their life.
Dude, they got big mad. And that's what's funny, is, like, a lot of those kids, like, they're the kids who, like, peaked in high school. You know what I mean?
Y'all are still stupid.
Well, they're not going to see that because none of them are tagged.
No, but they're in the comments, so they might see it, like the...
Oh, they might get, like, a little post?
Yeah.
I'm sure 99% of those people blocked me.
Y'all are still stupid.
But, like...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to snort in the camera, like, or whatever.
And that's what's funny, is, like... Obviously, it was all a joke at first, and then they were like, "Oh, well, like, you're not doing anything to make things better," and I'm like, "I just suggested like 6 things. Why? Like, I don't understand." And then they started like actually talking shit about me, and that's why I was getting so mad, because I was like, "I don't get it." And then there was a whole beef thing on Twitter with another kid, and
right. And
then I think that whole thing just kind of culminated into one thing, and like it's funny because like now to this day I still hate that kid. I won't name names just in case, but, like, I still do not like that kid. Don't think highly of him. I just...
And I know who you're talking about. And I won't name names either. The only thing that I will say is, the only thing that's going to be turning heads is the pair of double D's in the driver's seat.
I remember that was, like, a super proud moment in my life, because that comment got 5 likes, and I said, hell yeah, I'm famous. And then he just deleted it.
High school was everything. Bro, I just want to talk about high school, man. All the fun teachers, all the stupid things we had. Did I tell you about the teacher that was crying about his wife?
Mr. Morrison?
Morris. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, for the listeners out there, I had a math teacher with a complex. Like, hey, I'm the boss. I make the rules. Now, obviously, respecting your teachers.
Yeah, like, that's one thing.
And that's cool. But this was a whole new level. This was the guy. The reason I tell people to shut up when they sneeze was because of him. Someone would sneeze. Someone would say, "Oh, man, hey, bless you." And he'd say, "Stop disrupting class." And you'd be like, "All right, you trifling trick. I got you." And so whenever people would sneeze, I'd say, "Hey, shut up." And he would look up, like, just confused. And I'd be like, "I got you, Mr. M." But one day... everyone roasted him because his wife's name was Frances, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone said, well, that's a pretty manly name. And again, no issue with if you're gay, but he was mad because people were like, I thought, so you have a husband, and he would get mad, so people would just egg him on about that.
Yeah.
And one day, he got so mad, he told us all to be just quiet. He said, be quiet, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I am sick and tired. I do blah, 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 blah. And then me sitting there, I'm the dude. I don't do nothing wrong.
Someone sneezes. You say, shut up.
Yeah, but like, you have those kids who are obviously a little worse than others, right?
Yeah.
But you got like the quiet kids who mind their own business and they're just getting chewed out too. And you're like, man, you need to chill out, bro. Mm-hmm. And next day, he come in, he got all these cookies in the room for us. He's like, hey, I want to apologize for yesterday. That was out of character. I got some cookies for the class. So the class, like, all right, we forgive you. We're all... Oh, my God.
Oh, no. I don't know if I've heard this part of the story.
So, we're all eating the cookies. And Ryan Sable and say, well, look at this cookie. And he said, hey, did Francis make these? Homie got red as a tomato and walked out the room with his cookie in his hand. He took a bite. Y'all can't see this, but he had his arms folded, one up, and he had a cookie in it. He took a bite out of it, and he went. And he got all red. He just walked out the room teary-eyed as hell.
Golly. Could you imagine, bro?
Some little, what, a 13-year-old, 14-year-old going, did your husband make these? And you going,
golly, bro.
There was also the time where I had to take credit for Mr. Hoff's class. And I had to go to like a live football game for one of the schools, and I had to like go help film it for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Why they want to send me out on the snowiest night and be like, it's your first night? And I'm like, yeah. And they, all right, go over to this camera. So I'm thinking I'm going to be in one of those little trailers. Nope. I'm standing there getting snowed on. And I'm holding the camera like there. And they got the little headsets in, so letting us know. And they're like, camera 3. And I was like, mm-hmm. And they're like, hey, can you zoom in on the quarterback? And I was like, mm-hmm. I'm zooming on the wrong player. I'm zooming in on the running back. And they're like, all right, no, not quite, but thank you.
I do that shit all the time at work. Someone will say something stupid, and I'm like, well, it's actually this. So, like, one of my coworkers, he has a problem with, like, just remembering who I am.
Really?
Dude, so, like, he'll call me every name but my name a lot of the time. So, like...
That's like what I told you.
And so he what was it? It was on Wednesday. He goes, hey Kyle, and I said, well, I'm not Kyle, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. But what can I do for you? And he goes, I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. And I said, it's okay. Just know, I'm not Kyle.
By this point,
I don't even look like him.
Do you think he does it on purpose?
Honestly, wouldn't doubt it. Good dude, don't get me wrong. But golly, sometimes, man.
Hey, what up, Baylor? Baylor? It's Brandon. Oh, my bad, beanbag. So listen.
Ayla beanbag.
Ayla beanbag, come here real quick.
Yeah, because I had that same math teacher. Junior year.
Junior? He made it that far?
And dude, I think so. I think he was there the whole time. That we were there. There was a couple of teachers who definitely did not make it. Definitely did not make it the whole time that we were there. Like that chemistry teacher, Mr. Youngberg.
The one who looked like a Who from Whoville?
Yeah, he did not make it. He was there for a year.
Well, he wasn't a good... Like, he didn't seem...
Like, so... He was a weird dude. Like, just purely based off of looks, obviously.
Right.
But I liked his class. There was just something about the way that he taught chemistry that it was just... I was, like, super interested in the class, and I was like, dude, this is fucking awesome. He did not make it. But then you have weirder teachers, like, I don't know.
Lippincott?
Who?
I may have mispronounced his name. I don't know how long he was at the school while we were there, but he was old. He had an oxygen tank that he called R2-D2.
Who the fuck are you talking? What teacher was he?
He was an English teacher. He was in, he was in that long
yeah,
building.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about.
He was the guy that if he saw your phone like in your pocket, he'd be like, get ready here.
Yep.
And you're like, no.
Dude, there's some characters in that school for sure.
Bro, I'm trying to remember. I had some real beefy teachers, and by beefy I mean like with just attitude. Olsen had an attitude all the time.
Miss Petrash had an attitude. You could kind of tell with her sometimes that she was kind of.
If my name was Piss Trash, I'd have an attitude.
The security guard, the blonde-haired one, I can't remember what her name. Yeah, she kind of had an attitude.
She did sometimes.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, she was cool for the most part, but like there was some times where I was like, I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to.
Well, it was weird because
you were rent-a-cop.
Because I didn't really get into trouble, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, when I was like, I got beef with a teacher, it was like a legitimate beef, you know?
Yeah.
Because I was like, hey, you kind of acting out of control, and I know this because you ain't have to yell at me yet. But I know you on one today, bruh. I never had a problem with Mr. Kane.
Oh, he was honestly like one of my favorite teachers I've ever had in my life.
Always just very fair and just very honest, and he was one of the teachers where if something happened, you probably deserved it because he had the tolerance.
Dude, he was zero mad at all times.
The only thing he had an issue with, from my understanding, is if a substitute didn't like you, he'd review it and he'd be like, "Well, I have to quiz you into submission," and that's where I don't know if you guys ever had to have this happen. But he would keep quizzing every day. Last 15 minutes would be a quiz of whatever you learned until the class average was a C. And that was the punishment.
Yeah, because I had him the last 2 years of high school. So I had him all of junior year.
Right.
And then all of senior year. Because I had him for current issues in government junior year. And then I had him for AP US History senior year. And, dude, I don't know if he just was like, dude, I understand, like, you're a senior, go do your own thing. So I was the only senior in that AP US History class. The only senior. I would always fucking skip that shit to go hang out with Bryce, because Bryce had both lunches.
Right.
And so, like, sometimes, like, if we had, like, a project for psychology, which was, sixth period, we would leave at first lunch, and I just wouldn't go to class. And he would never. He would never fucking count me absent. He would never fucking do shit. I remember one time I had to make a test up, and he goes, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, because it's no big deal." And he goes, "Well, all right, man. You don't really have to make it up, but I mean, if you want to." And I said, "No, it's just it's the right thing to do. Like I missed the day, and so." I have no issue with it. And he was like, all right, man. The only time I've ever fallen asleep in class was in his class. It sounds kind of fucked up on why I fell asleep. So I felt like shit that day. I was, like, super sick.
Right.
And my mom kept, dude, like, giving me the fucking, she just kept giving it to me. I was like, yo, you gotta pick me up. Like, I do not feel well. And she goes, give me another hour. I'm busy at work and blah. I'm like, yo, next thing I know is the end of the day. Well, so I said, okay. So I walk into history, and there's a sub there, and so I was like, oh, god damn it. And so the sub was like, yeah, all Mr. Kane has for you guys is we're just gonna watch a video on women's suffrage, and that's it. And some kid was like, do we have to take notes? And the sub was like, well, it says here that you don't have to, but if you want to, that's fine. Like, if you want to, like, learn and, like, retain the information, that's totally fine.
Nobody wants to.
Dude, so, like, 10 seconds into the video, I said, yo, I'm kind of tired. I'm gonna take a fucking nap. And, yo, I straight up fucking balled up in my hoodie, and I fucking slept the whole time. And I was like, yo, that's incredible. I would, like, just not do shit in class sometimes. I would just sit there. He'd, like, try to talk to me sometimes, which is kind of weird. He'd be like, so, ready to graduate? And I'm like, I mean, I guess, Mr. Kane.
He was probably just having the time of his life just talking to you, and you over here being like, I guess I'm ready to graduate.
Well, and that's the funny thing is, like, I heard that, like, I have heard that, like, he was, like, a raging alcoholic.
What?
And I was like, how? And the people were like, yeah, his face is red all the time. I was like, you ever fucking think that maybe the motherfucker just got rosacea?
Well, yeah, because plus he's super active. He's always running.
Always, dude. He will always just run everywhere.
And he'd always brag about, well, I got the season tickets to see the Broncos.
He said, I've had season tickets since Denver came to this town. Yeah. He was like, I was nuts. And so since I had him 2 years in a row, so I had heard his introduction 3 different times. So the first time was for, like, government. Second time was for current issues. And then the third time it was for that history class.
Right.
And every single time, without fail, he would kind of change it up slightly, but every single time he was like, yeah, so I used to go to this high school, believe it or not, and I played on the football team. I was the quarterback of the football team, and he's like, and believe it or not, for real, I'm in the high school football Hall of Fame. Every time. And I'm like, bro.
They just like to start the rumors about the teachers, man.
And I think that's what it is. Like,
because
I can't really think of any other rumors necessarily as far as teachers are concerned.
Because alcoholics, from my understanding, they're never that happy.
Hell
mellow.
no, Mr. Kane seemed pretty, like, content with life.
He was he was a good-looking dude. He took care of himself. He got to see the Broncos. All he asked is that you didn't fuck up and just fuck around.
Gee, it was always so funny that, like, I'm almost 100% positive, like, he was kind of like us, where if we had to do something the next day, we would try to take that next day off.
Yeah.
Or we would take 2 days off in a row.
Yeah.
Because anytime that, like, Denver would play Monday night, he would not be there Tuesday morning.
No. You know, it's
He
like
would not be there.
I got a sub. And in his defense, it makes sense because if they're
Like,
playing,
yeah, for sure, and it makes sense because I mean you're not getting out of that game till 10:30 at night.
you get out and you got to get out of the stadium, and you got to get through Denver, and it's a lot. Well, the other thing, because I was thinking about teachers who weren't there the whole time. Mr. Paulson was there for only a year, so I had Mr. Kane for the first semester of that year. Then the second semester, they swapped me to Paulson's class, and I was really confused. I was like, oh, okay. It wasn't anything bad. It was just, for the scheduling, this is what happened. I said, okay, that makes sense. So I get in Paulson's class, and all the girls were like, oh, he's so cute. He's so, yummy, and all that. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's also really physically active, built guy. This is what he does. And I remember him when I went in there, and he was watching college basketball, and I was kind of asking him something. I was like, what are you watching college basketball for? This dude was so cool. He pulled out this little chart he has with the Final Four, like the 16, like the game predictions for the year, and like his Final Four and all that. And he was like, yeah, so he was like, if I get these ones right, I'll win $1 million. But he was like, but they're losing right now. And so he's like, but you know, I'm a goofy guy.
Yeah.
So in the class, I was goofy, and I was making all these things, blah, blah, blah. But then I really blew his mind, because he was going around. He was like, Brendan, we use you as an example. Who are your role models? And I was like, probably like Jesus, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X. And he stopped for a minute, and he went, those are actually really good role models. I was like, what'd you think I was going to say?
He said, have you met my dad?
I thought you were going to say Fred Durst, Crazy Frog, and Homer Simpson. No? And I was like, and sometimes it's insulting though. Sometimes when people are like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, "I'm not an idiot. Like I just like to have fun. I'm just goofy for like a purpose of life is too serious as is. Why not make like just fun of it?" We see where I come from in my corporate lifestyle. I don't care, bro. I care where I came from. Well, you gotta make jokes. I make myself laugh, bro.
Yo, I make myself laugh all the time. All the time, bro.
What I hate about making myself laugh, though.
I feel so fucking goofy, bro.
Well, I do, because I'm like, that's funny to me.
So, to kind of go back onto last week's tangent about becoming a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, that's what.
So, as like that became like more and more of a goal of mine, I would tell people about it, and they're just like, well, you know, you have to kind of think. And I was like, think about what? And they're like, well, what you might find funny, someone else might not find funny. And I said, like, I always had this, like, kind of like, it was like a cockiness where it was like, that makes no sense. I'm fucking hilarious. And just, like, always thinking to myself, like, dude, I find some stupid shit funny. Like those monkey memes.
Right.
Dude.
Monk. That's how I read it. I always read it as monk. That's why I made that joke I was telling you about bringing the money to you. I put the moon with the little O with the two R's.
And because I was like, and it's like, I'll laugh at something like really stupid.
Yeah.
And then people would be like, that's not funny. Like, I don't like okay, so a great example is I think the movie Napoleon Dynamite is one of the most underrated comedies of all time. It to this day, it's one of those comedies that I swear to God, it never gets old.
I need to segue real quick on that because of that. There's been this thing where people have been like, "Oh, I'm drawing your portrait, whatever," and people drawing hyper-realistic photos of people.
Oh no!
And every time I see it,
all you think of is that drawing that he gives her.
I actually post that drawing. And I write on the comment.
It took me like 3 hours to do the shading on your upper lip.
Let me find it real quick, and then we'll get back to your point. I cannot forget this, bro.
Oh, no,
and people keep laughing, bro.
Oh,
because this one girl, she was like, I don't know if you're being serious or if you're... And I was like...
Like, have you not seen the movie?
No, because she did, but she was just confused because, like, her excuse was like, well, lots of stuff goes through my head media-wise.
Uh-huh.
But hold on. I'm really close to this, bro. Because I swear, it's happened a few times this week. So here's the picture the guy drew, right?
Uh-huh.
That's a picture he made. That's not a real person.
Yeah. my god. Oh,
Anyway,
shit.
yeah.
So
I'm sorry, I just had to go.
fast forward. So I'm in the cream corn at this time.
Right.
We're in Chirac.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of our buddies had never seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite. Never. And we're like, what do you mean? Like, how did you just not grow up ever seeing the movie Napoleon Dynamite?
He didn't like it, did he?
So, the movie ends, and you know how the movie just kind of ends? Like, there's no explanation about, like, what happens to them after, or anything
doesn't
like
need
that.
to be. There's
and then there's no... People who are, like, not fucking stupid realize, oh, okay, that's the point of the movie.
Yeah, like,
there really is no point to the movie. It's just a high school story.
it's just life. Like, that's just it. Like,
Yeah.
they're in high school. That he wants to, like, they're going to be in high school next year. I mean, the only thing that I still want questions on is, like, where'd Kip go?
Yeah, well, I mean, he went back to Detroit, but...
But I mean, like, are they going to be coming back? You know, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
beside the point. It's a movie. It is.
So the movie ends, and he goes, do those two fuck? And we're like, I'm probably not. Why?
Is that what you got from this movie?
And he goes, so what happens? Like, what happens after this? And we say, nothing, dude. The movie's fucking over.
They're in
And he
high
goes,
school.
that was fucking stupid. And we're like, what do you mean it was stupid? He goes, well, there's no point to the movie. And I said, there doesn't have to be a point to the movie. There's no point to this conversation right now, but we're still having it. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's just a fucking movie. I had another buddy who was the same way. He was like, that movie's fucking stupid. And I'm like, why? He's like, it's just not funny. I said, what do you mean? It's not funny.
I'm gonna put it like this.
That's one of those stupid, awkward movies where you can tell everybody is going through puberty in that movie.
And it's not cringy awkward. It's just
No,
awkward
it's just,
to be awkward.
It's just weird. It's quirky. It's hilarious.
When he's trying to buy the crayons, Enrico's like, "No, I didn't say get the double Y. I said you get the regular pack. You get your Pampers like
for
your
you.
ass. For you and your brother." And Summer's the cashier.
Dude, one of the funniest parts of that whole movie...
Uncle Rico's a pedophile.
One of the funniest fucking parts of that whole movie, bro, is when she's trying to fucking sell him those charm bracelets, and he's like, yeah, I already made like infinity of those at scout camp.
I'm trying to make money for college. Is
Your
anyone
mom
else
goes
here?
to college, and he just, the stupid smirk he has on his face, like he just fucking burned her so good. Like, I do not understand how people just don't like that movie.
He went, "Can you give me a ride to town?"
Do you think I got to where I am today? But just like Peter Pan over here, forget about it.
No, so about that movie, I recently was just talking to someone about it because I've been posting that picture all over the place, and I was like, believe it or not, there are 3 movies, because I don't watch movies with commentary, but sometimes I'm really interested. By sometimes I mean there have been 3 times I've watched the movie with commentary.
Are 2 of them Quentin Tarantino movies?
No.
Wow.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Because I was hearing what George Lucas was talking about like just all the CGI he was doing, and it was just interesting because he was like, "Oh yeah, we did this, Jar Jar," and he explained how the Jar Jar thing worked, and that was a whole process. It was weird because they used a puppet the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting. Spaceballs was the other one. Because Mel Brooks is just funny. He's just talking about everything. He's just, oh yeah, we did this. The third one was Napoleon Dynamite. But Napoleon Dynamite had 2 different commentaries. One was Uncle Rico, Deb, and Pedro.
Uh-huh.
And I think there may have been one other person. It wasn't John Heater, but there may have been one other person. I don't know, but I know it was those 3 at least. And they were just giving so much insight about the movie, just little things you would never notice. Mm-hmm. One of them being when they're on the porch and they're sitting there, and Rico's cutting the steaks and he keeps shoving them in his mouth. You see him and he keeps wiping his face because they cooked them so raw that he couldn't eat them. And so what happens is you'll watch him go like this as he's wiping his face, but he's spitting the steak out. And if you watch carefully, he throws it behind him.
Huh.
So you can keep watching and go like, I could have thrown it. And if you watch his hand, he does that. Keeps throwing little pieces of steak behind him. Another thing that they were talking about was just like you could tell how far they were in the filming because if you watch John Heater's hair, there were more flies around him the later in because they would not let him touch his hair because they didn't have the resources or the money to redo it.
So, My favorite fact to tell people about Napoleon Dynamite is about that fucking block of cheese.
Yeah.
When he's talking to Kip.
And they're grinding.
Any time I talk to someone at work about Napoleon Dynamite, that's like my go-to. I'm like, yo, next time you watch it, pay attention to that fucking pile of cheese on his nachos. Because they only got one block of cheese and they said we're not gonna waste it. We might as well just put it all in the nachos.
Well, that's the other thing is, it wasn't even just one block of cheese. It was government cheese. And they were like, we gotta use it, so that's what we'll do. But one of the best stories from the entire thing. What's going on here?
No, you're good. I was just checking the battery.
Oh, okay, I got worried. But yeah, the best story was that the director was doing the second commentary. Mm-hmm. His commentary was with the guy who played Kip, because they were college roommates.
Uh-huh.
And so they were just doing this movie thing together. But a lot of the things in the movie were things that actually happened to the director and his brother.
What the fuck?
And that's what's funny. So when Napoleon's throwing the little wrestling figure out the window...
Dude, I'm watching that movie tonight.
He said that's what they would do. And they're like, why? And he's like, we're in the Midwest. Like, there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
He was like, why not throw Hulk Hogan out the window?
What are you gonna do today, Napoleon? Whatever I feel like. Gosh.
But he talked about the time machine.
Hold on, I forgot the crystals.
So
He's like, I could have told you that.
So this is what happened. They actually bought a time machine.
Jesus Christ!
And his brother was the one using it. And it was just like the setup. So they get in the position. And he says, okay, turn it on. So they turn it on. And it electrocutes him. And so they end up having to go to the hospital. He goes in, they put stitches in his head. And he goes, oh, and his brother grabs his hand and says, I know what happened. And he said, well, he's like, we forgot the crystals.
Dude, holy shit.
That's what I mean.
Oh my god.
The stuff that happened in the movie, like, happened to him and his brother.
Golly.
But the fact he was in the hospital, he's like, hey, we forgot the crystals.
Hold on. I forgot the crystals.
Okay.
That whole... Dude, I'm...
Gosh.
Turn it off. Turn it off. So, Kip is just standing the way the Kip is just... He's like...
That should have been the first indicator. This movie has no purpose. Dude, that scene.
Or even the scene where him and Kip are fighting right before Deb shows up. Trying to sell it, and he's like, Napoleon,
oh, jeez.
You're just jealous that I've been talking to hot babes online all day. And he goes, jeez, I think you ripped my mole off.
Oh,
Let
did
me see.
I?
Ding dong. Jeez. Like, dude. So that movie and Nacho Libre, because Nacho Libre was done by the same guy who did Napoleon Dynamite. That's another one that I had, like, I didn't appreciate it until way later in life, and it was funny enough. I was in Iraq at the time, and my buddy Kanan was like, dude, I love that movie. And I was like, oh, it's alright, like, it's no big deal.
It's a good movie.
Because I had seen it, like, twice. And I was like, man, it's okay. Like, there was just something of, like, comparatively for me at the time, Napoleon Dynamite, and even to now, Napoleon Dynamite's far superior than Nacho Libre. Nacho Libre is a fucking hilarious movie, though.
Oh my gosh, they're classic.
And so,
timeless.
Like, watching Nacho Libre again in Iraq, like, put the whole movie in, like, a different perspective, and I realized actually how funny that fucking movie is.
Bro, that whole movie, that's my favorite scene is when he crunches the chips and blows them. That's my favorite scene in the whole movie. I haven't seen Nacho Libre in a long time.
Yeah, because it was on Netflix. It was a long time ago that it was on Netflix. Now that I think about it.
Remember the first time I watched Napoleon Dynamite, I was a kid. And the first time I was like, I don't understand it, right?
Yeah.
But then the second time I watched it, I was like, because her shoulders were puffy. Your mom goes to college. That's the other thing that really happened. his like one of their buddies in college had said that to some girl and was like, that was a burn, bro. And the director was so confused. He was like, what? And so he always had that in his head. He went, hey, your mom goes to college. And so he put it in the movie. That's what it was. The movie didn't have to have a purpose. It was just, that was its purpose. Growing up in the Midwest.
And I think that's, and I wonder if that's maybe why, like, it resonates so highly, like, with us. Because we grew up in the Midwest.
A little bit of a bigger town, but yeah.
A little bit of a bigger town, obviously, but, like, you kind of understand that, like, okay, I've ridden the bus to school, and that shit's not fucking fun. Like,
he rides with all those kids.
Yeah! And, like, so I remember...
Drawing the liger.
So I remember in middle school, so at the time, that was, like, the last time I had ever ridden the bus, was in middle school, because once I got into high school, I would either drive, like, my dad would drop me off, or I would walk home. And typically that's what would happen, is he would drop me off on his way to work, and I would just walk home, because of the apartment complex we lived in. Mm-hmm. And we lived too far away, and we weren't in, like, the school district.
Right.
When we moved. And so, I think it was 8th grade, some kid was talking hellish shit. Well, all of a sudden, you know, the little school ID, bam, lands in my fucking lap. And I said, what the fuck is this? And they go, dude, hold on to that. I said, fuck you. And I dropped that motherfucker out the window. And they're like, dude, he just threw your ID out the window. And I was like, yeah, maybe if you wouldn't stop fucking throwing shit at me, you'd fucking, you know, leave me the fuck alone.
Brandon said, fuck you, woo. I'm a savage.
Good news, everybody. I gotta pee.
Fair enough. I can tell them more about the funny parts of Napoleon dying.
I look forward to it.
Alright, now that he's gone, it really is a classic, because there's just parts of that movie. If you have not seen it, again, it's not for everyone. It's just really funny, because he's... how can I put it? He's giving a whole class presentation right at the beginning of the movie, right at the gate, about the Loch Ness Monster in current issues class. You could tell it was just thrown together real quick. He probably didn't put no effort into it. He's talking about them putting charges at the bottom of the Lake Loch Ness or whatever, to blow Nessie out of the water. And the class is like, what? Or he's doing a sign language project later on. They're doing like an interpretive sign language dance. But it's one of, if not the funniest movie of all time. Just if you like that whole thing about, again, and I hate cringe. So you would really think that the cringe factor of just high school drama, because a lot of that is what really gets to me personally in cringe. Because I don't deal with like that weird, like, oh, the relationship breakup, whatever, the way things happen, like the guy gets caught cheating on a girl. That's not what I deal with. But this movie, its idea of like awkwardness just isn't like, it's not cringeworthy. It's just awkward, and like in a way of like, hey, I've been there. I was an awkward teen, you know. B, you're back. I was telling them about the beginning of the movie when he's doing that presentation about them trying to blow Nessie out the water. Like, you could tell he didn't put no time or effort into it. He'd walk up there, eyes closed, somebody laugh, and he'd just turn his head.
I forgot about that, dude. I think, and that's like the other thing that's so funny is like, it's like those subtle little things that like you wouldn't necessarily notice unless you've watched the movie like 300 times
like
that make it even funnier.
Like when he's pounding him with the fucking fruit. Uncle Rico.
For the longest time, that was my absolute favorite scene. When he's just driving, I was just all happy because he's selling that fucking Tupperware, and there's just boom, he's like, ah!
And he goes, don't throw that grapefruit, Napoleon. He kicks him.
Why don't you get out of my house and eat a decrepit piece of crap?
He just stares at him. When Kip's trying to sell the Tupperware, so
he backs it up, and he's like, dang it, and he's just, dude, that's it.
He drives off, and the Hispanic couple's just standing. When Uncle Rico's hitting on Deb, getting the photos.
Oh, man.
Uncle Rico's such a creep, but then his wife come back out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was a super...
But again, doesn't need an explanation.
Since when does Grandma go to the dunes?
There's a lot you don't know about it, Napoleon.
Well, I don't know. Make yourself a dang quesadilla. It's like, it's one of those movies that I think... It's kind of like going back and like watching The Office.
He's drinking the Gatorade. Boy, why you all so sweaty? Been practicing some dance moves.
Dude, oh my god. I actually have the DVD somewhere.
But yeah, going back and watching The Office.
Like watching, because like, I don't know, so obviously I feel like The Office is one of those shows where it's like either you like it or you don't. Which is fine.
It's funnier to a certain demographic. Like, if you've worked like a corporate job, not just like a regular job, you find a little more humor in it.
Yeah, because like,
some people can just enjoy the comedy.
And dude, so before I had ever actually sat down and like try to watch the show all the way through, I couldn't do it.
Right.
Purely based off of the very first episode. Because, oh my god, like, dude, Michael Scott is such a cringe character. He's super awkward, he's like super sexist, and it's just like, it's weird.
Right.
And it's super hard to watch, especially if you're not comfortable with like really awkward situations.
Of course.
And I think everyone's had like those awkward situations like at work, where it's kind of like, I don't know what.
We need to take an HR compliance training, please.
But like, dude, what's it called? Because not like when we were working at the lodge, I don't think we had too many of those, like too many super awkward moments as far as like between coworkers.
Speak for yourself. I had a whole one.
Well, okay, you got Rikishi. That's different.
Not just that. Remember? I'm sorry you broke up with you.
Oh, yeah. That was dude, oh my god. It was like, so for that, without going into too much detail, I was like upset because I was like, I don't understand why the fuck I'm getting taken out of the candy store. This is bullshit. But at the same time, I get to see Brendan more today, so...
And then you get back there and you're like, what happened? I'm like, well...
You say, I don't know, you tell me. Or like, okay, so actually, now that I think about it, I lied. I had one kind of awkward encounter where I like walked away and I was like, what? Like, who says shit like that? Not like in a bad way, it was just like it was something that like... It just didn't, like, jive with me. So, obviously, to those who have listened for a long time or who know us personally, I do not like it when people say thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
I think you're welcome. I think it's weird, like, if a complete stranger's like, oh, hey, blah, 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 like, oh, you did that, like, oh, thank you for your service. I'm like, it's...
Trust him. He doesn't even ask for, like, a discount anyway.
Like I just, it's awkward.
He says, what happened in the past stays in the past.
And so, I go on my lunch. It was like... I'm pretty sure I was back there by myself, and so I was, like, super fucking pissed off, and it was fucking busy. And at Great Wolf Lodge, there's a little radio where you can like, hey, I need someone to come fucking back here and help me, like, right now. Like, it's busy.
Team!
Like, I would never do that. I would never do it because from, like, a leadership standpoint,
right,
you shouldn't have to wait for me to call for help. You should be walking around. They would walk around everywhere else because I'd see them when I was not in the arcade.
Or chilling in the back.
Yeah, and so I refused to do it because it's like, well, how do you forget about like the second busiest place in this whole lodge? Anyway, so I get my lunch. One of the managers back there, Kat, she's like, so how's it going back there? And I was like, oh, it's pretty busy today. Mm-hmm. She goes, yeah. And I said, yeah, it's even worse when you're alone. Mm-hmm. Trying to, like, make, like, a subtle jab at being like, hey, there's fucking mids here.
Right.
Send somebody to the fucking store and send Brendan back over here.
Help me.
Like, I need help. But I'm not going to directly be like, hey, I need help. So, she's like, have you called on the radio? And so, like, I'd been working there for a while, and this was kind of like, I was like, no, I refuse to do that. Mm-hmm. She goes... What do you mean? Why? And so I didn't tell her what was on my mind because I didn't want to like start like a weird confrontation.
Right.
And so I told her, I was like, oh, it's just a weird thing. Like, I don't want to like have to be that guy who's like always, like, oh, you need help all the time, and
Right.
yada yada yada. So I was like, you know, that's just I feel kind of weird about asking.
There go
for help.
Brandon on the mic again.
And so she goes, oh my, what'd she say? She was like, oh, well, like, no, like, it's no problem. Like, we're here to help you. Like, don't worry. Like, we'll help you. Like, we've got your 6. And I said, I'm cringing just now I said that, dude. And I, like, stared at her. And I was like, okay. And I walked off, and I was like, so you remember how there was, like, that second door that you would walk through to get back there? I was like, what the fuck was that? I said, oh my god. And I mean, she probably felt the same way, but I never brought it back up.
This is how she felt. She went, yes, I'm a hero.
I connected with the veteran.
I thanked him for his service. Yes.
Which is funny. No one ever did. The only person who ever did was Diane.
And
that's
Diane,
only because you fucking told her. And that's it. Even Karen, who was also a vet, never once said, "Oh, well, thank you."
Well, and to be fair, I think Diane was also very genuine with it because she.
Oh, for sure.
She had such a heart for because her husband was like military, so she was like, "Oh, this dick, because
this dick."
Yeah. This asshole.
Hey, you want a Hummer?
Hey, you want a Hummer? Ring a ding ding.
But dude, it was one of those things that was just. I was like, ew, bro.
I'm trying to think because I've had a few awkward moments at the lodge. The most recent one was when I went to go see you, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like,
"Oh, dude, I got a question about that like 2 days later."
Really?
Yeah. So I was getting ready to leave or go on my lunch or something, and they say, "Oh, hey, can we talk to you for a second?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "What's up?" And they said, "Did he really buy this card?" And I said, "Yes."
You refunded him. You saw his money on the card.
And he goes, they were like, "Did he really win all those tickets?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I don't get it." I was like, "What the fuck?" Obviously, you know, I was being nice about it, but like the whole time I was like, why are you so butthurt that an employee came in, an ex-employee came in and tried to do something nice?
Yeah, because I was trying to win it for the niece. And it was like, oh, yeah, we're having a fun time. And I was like, oh, yeah, here's the money, blah, blah, blah. You know, I was doing the
first, they didn't even
games.
say hi to you. The first thing they said to you is, "What are you doing here?"
I was like, playing games in the arcade. And then they were like, well, and then they were like, well, we got to do it. And I was like, well, can I at least get my money back then? And they were like, that's when they were like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like,
I'm not a fucking criminal.
Yeah, I was like, the money I put on there. And so the fact that they had to ask you that's what's funny, because it's like, you don't remember having to give me the refund with the receipt that I had to pay.
Like, and I was like, dude.
You know what, though? It's water under the bridge. They're closed down for COVID. Let that be a reminder. Don't fuck with B&B, motherfuckers.
It turns out B&B is the reason for COVID.
Probably, bro. B&B equals COVID. There's probably some weird conspiracy where they can link it together. 7 in Brendan, 7 in Brandon. That's 7 and 7.
That's
77.
14.
That's 14. 14.
I've listened to 5 episodes. 5 plus 14, 19.
COVID, 19, 20, 19. We worked at Lodge in 2019? No, but wait, 2020? The COVID, but 19, but... Oh my
It's
God,
them.
It's them. They're the ones. But no, like, just some of the awkward stuff, like random ex from wherever came in and
Dude,
had the whole CEO come down on me. Or not CEO, but the lodge guy.
Let me tell you about awkward moments as far as that's concerned. So, it's never happened to... Okay, so it did happen to me at work. And I don't think I ever told you this story. Because you were like, oh, you'll have to tell me about this afterwards. So you remember that girl Sarah that I used to date in high school?
The one that's related to the homie?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So...
The one we don't like?
I'm indifferent. It happened years ago, so...
My homies all don't like Sarah. So we don't like Sarah. Wait, how'd that meme go?
So, what meme?
It's the me and all my homies...
I don't remember. I'd have to look.
I'll find it. But yeah, like you said...
So... Sarah's coming to the gym.
Uh-huh.
And that was fucking super weird. Because one of two things. One, she didn't recognize me. Because I have a beard now. And I'm fucking bald. Or two, it was super awkward for her too, and she was like, nah, whatever. But I have seen her more than I've seen any other ex in public.
Right.
Like, with not wanting to, like not going out to see them on purpose.
Of course.
Other day, I'm at Target. With my family.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think anything of it. I'm just walking around. I was hanging out with my dad. We're just talking about whatever. And I went to go find my mom and Chris. And I see this girl walking. She's kind of tall. Mm-hmm. Dirty blondish hair. More on the brunette side. And I was like, yo, is that who I think it is? And then I started to think. I said, oh, fuck, I think that's who it is. And guess who I thought it was?
Sarah.
The other one.
The C?
Yeah.
Big C? We don't put, I mean, you know what?
We don't
do put
speak
names.
on that.
We do put names in here, but there are certain names that we will refuse to say, like Voldemort.
And what the shitty thing is because she was wearing a mask, I couldn't confirm it. But those fucking eyes, dude. You know how, like, you obviously, like, you know someone or you've been with someone long enough that you can, like, recognize like certain features about them?
Because this person had very distinct mole-ish things by the left eye.
And I was like, yo, there's no way. So I, like, you know, the fucking pit of my stomach, I said, oh, no, here we go.
He said, here we go. You know what, though? Okay, let him, hey.
Well, and
like, remember that one time when I was at the mall minding my business? And then you texted me and said, she said she saw you at the mall. I was like, so?
What?
It was years ago. Because she was working at Jimmy John's at the time. And y'all were still kind of just talking. Like, just regular talking at this point, right? And she had texted you because she had seen me at the mall. Because I saw her and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then she texted you and you went, yeah, I guess she said she saw you at the mall. I was like, what does that have to do with anything? I just exist at the mall. Like, leave me alone.
And that's what happened with Sarah a lot of the time is that, like, I'd literally come home on leave and I would just it happened almost every time. I would just see her at the mall.
Christ.
And I'm like, bro, golly, dude, I'm trying to fucking move on with my life. And, like, for me, it was one of those, like, it's always awkward, obviously, to run into your ex, but, you know, like, I, to this day, haven't run into any of your exes, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's because all my exes know better.
God damn, bro.
They know it ain't sweet around here, bro. They ex for a reason. They had to escape out my life. Take the escalator up out of here.
I had that. I remember a very distinct conversation with you I had years ago.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because we can say years ago. Because we've been friends for almost half of our lives. Which is still baffling to me, by the way. That's the one.
That's the meme, but
that's the one.
That's the cover for the episode.
That's the one.
I hope you know.
But yeah, because I posted one that was a Fallout one. It was just like it was like me and
the Van Graffs.
Yeah, it was like me and it was like fuck the Van Graffs. And me and all my homies used a bathroom.
Yeah, that's right.
But fuck, what was I talking about? Oh, a very distinct conversation about how. You know how there's like that weird awkward period after a breakup,
right? Where
you guys are still kind of talking, but it's not really going anywhere, and you don't really know what's going to happen
before the big block or something.
And you kind of like, I don't want to deal with this person anymore, so I'm gonna be kind of mean.
Or I want to see if maybe we can. Cause,
yeah, and for the most part, making your ex hate you because it's like. If they hate me, they won't want to talk to me. And if they won't want to talk to me, out of my life.
Like, you already made it this far. Already, just end it. Just do it.
For sure. But, with that being said, it's getting kind of late. This is almost as long as last week's now that I think about it.
Jesus Christ.
Honestly, I kind of like these longer ones. I don't know.
I don't mind them, but it's funny when we just get to rolling on the conversation.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. But, yeah, I think that's part of the great joys of life. I'm telling you, B, once we get this filmed... Game over, dog.
Yeah, once we get to that Joe Rogan level of a 4-hour DMT shroom podcast with Post Malone, then we'll really be.
Then we'll be set. Post Malone, you're invited to the podcast. Joe Rogan, I'll even invite you to the podcast.
Even though you in some hot water right now with the liberals.
That's fine. He apologized for it, so.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
The fire thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, they crucified him, and I was like.
They've been trying to crucify the guy. They've been trying to crucify him.
Here's my thing, all right? Is his podcast recorded live?
No.
So it could have been recorded a day prior to them even knowing that information. You know what I mean? He records it, he lets it out, but he apologizes.
Or, like, even if it's the same day.
Republican, Democrats, fuck both of you guys. You suck major peen. And not in a good way. If you like peen, then you're slurping some real smegma. If you don't like peen, then you're sucking big, chunky chungus peen. I'm out.
That being said, thanks for listening. Make sure to follow all the links in the description. Friends of the podcast, follow them. Show them some love.
I'm adding Duran's link to the YouTube.
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Okay,
He does graphic design. He has a flat rate, $50 an hour, but if it's a smaller project, something that can get done, he'll work out a deal with you. Link will be in the description. Fantastic work.
All right, sweet. That'll be on the Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. We'll do all that. Other than that, thank you for listening. I ain't got nothing else. He already said he's out. We will see you next week.
Wait. What
do you mean, wait?
I mean, hold the phone. We gotta go out on this.
Series of tests to determine the extent of his sophistication.